IDF soldiers, distinguished guests. Today we're opening the winter session of the Knesset, in the Knesset itself, and I would like to tell you about two synagogues, very special ones, that I have recently visited. They really moved me to the bottom of my heart, and they showed the immense meaning of the resurrection of Israel. The first synagogue is the Choral synagogue in Vilnius, in Lithuania. I arrived there for a historical meeting with the Baltic leaders. For me, this was coming full circle since my family came from there. Its Judaism had great leaders of Torah, of spirit. However, 200,000 of the Jews, 95% of the people in Lithuania were killed in the Holocaust. Out of the 100 synagogues who were in Lithuania, it was referred to at the time as the Jerusalem of Lithuania. Only Choral survived this destruction. One of 100. And when I was standing there with my wife, the silent walls were screaming. I thought about the thousands and tens of thousands of our brothers and sisters who were thrown into the digs of death in Ponar, not far away from there. I thought about Natan Milikovsky Netanyahu as a yeshiva student. At the end of the 19th century, he was beaten fiercely by anti-Semitic bullies, not far away from there as well. With the last of his resources, he swore that if he will survive, he will come to Eretz Israel, to the state of Israel, to help with reviving the state of Israel and our people. I was standing there and I said, "We are here. We are back. Grandpa, I'm back in Lithuania as the Prime Minister of the State of Israel, an independent, proud state, one that was established once again just as you have wished for, just as you envisioned." The second synagogue that really moved me, I must say I was brought to tears, was Ein Kshatot at the Golan Heights. A week ago, we inaugurated it within a project of national heritage that I was initiating and that I had led. An earthquake at the 18th century destroyed the synagogue and ended the Jewish settlement that was going on around the Golan Heights. Our archaeologists, with the cutting-edge technology, managed to put back one stone after another, putting it back to its original place. And once again, the walls of the synagogue are standing proud, just as it had been, but these walls are not screaming, they're singing. I could hear, I could imagine our people praying there, studying Torah, deliberating. I wish they could have seen us, their offspring, who are free, who are building the Golan, who are building the entire state in such a flourishing manner that has never been here before. This is an unprecedented road that we have covered, from the Holocaust to sovereign existence here in a Jewish and democratic state, one that is initiating, that is renewing, one that is a rising force among the nations, a state that believes in the right of its way. With God willing, it's going to live in peace and safety alongside its neighbors. This is the vision that has been leading me throughout my life. Members of the Knesset, we are in the beginning of the 8th decade of the State of Israel, and look at our achievements in the mere last decade under our government, because in many other countries, the last decade was a lost one, lost financially, socially, stagnation. But not here. The last decade was a wonderful one of growth, one of gaining strength and stability and security, flourishing and building, and political flourishing. Challenges have been and will be, but I can tell you, surely so, because I talk to the leaders, each and every one of the developed countries would have been blessed with our growth data and the many achievements that we have accomplished. In this wonderful decade, we have changed the face of the South and North. We built neighborhoods and schools, places of employment, medical centers. Cranes are going up all the time in Sderot, in Dimona, in Afula, in Nahariya, and Ma'alot Tarshiha. We have brought about an unprecedented revolution in transportation. We have tunnels and bridges and roads. The economy is flourishing in Israel. We have risen in our income per capita. We have raised the average salary, the minimum wages. This is unprecedented as well, and also credit rating of the State of Israel. And our export investments, we have raised government investments in the non-Jewish sector to an unprecedented height, to the Druze, the Cherkess, the Bedouins. This is going to reach 15 million shekels. No one before us did it. And this is what we took down. We took down the rate of unemployment. We have lowered inequality. Every year, we have stopped the rise in the housing prices. There's still a long way to go, but they're almost completely stopped. And this is a great achievement of the Minister of Finance and a cooperation with the Prime Minister's office. According to the data of the International Currency Fund, we have surpassed Japan and other European countries in our income per capita. You know very well that Israelis are always going to the airport in large amounts. This year, we are expected to see over 4 million Israelis going abroad. This is no longer a matter for the rich people. And also the number of tourists coming to Israel is at an all-time height. Israelis love to go abroad, but they also love to come back here because they know there's no place like home, there's no place like Israel, because it is good to live in Israel. This was a wonderful decade, not only financially and economically, but also politically. Our foreign relations are ever so flourishing. Hundreds of heads of states, ministers, parliament members are visiting Israel each and every year. And I want to tell you what I've been hearing from them, and you also hear about it. They are really, really impressed by our strength, our intelligence strength, our military strength. They are also looking at our technological strength and our economical strength. We are cultivating both these powers, and the combination of the two gives us an immense political strength. We have close relationship with states of Asia, Africa, Latin America, the Baltics, East European countries, Muslim countries like Azerbaijan, like Kazakhstan. We strengthened technology and commerce with the leading economies in West Europe, headed by Germany. And next year we're going to see many more initiatives of that sort. In a few days' time, we will have the deputy of the president of China coming here, a very important person in this power, in this superpower, in order to strengthen the financial relations with this superpower of over a billion people. Our ties with India are also strengthening. This occurred since the historic visit of my friend, the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, and my visit in India, a visit I will never forget. Since another friend of mine visited Israel, Shinzo Abe, the Prime Minister of Japan, and my visit to Japan, the scope of investments of Japan in Israel, and listen very carefully, the scope of investments of Japan in Israel increased 40 times. Increased 40 times fold within 4 years. We also tightened our relations with Russia. The deputy of the Prime Minister of Russia visited here last week. We had our joint committees, financial and economical committees. I'm holding, and this is the more important. Everything is important, but this is more important. I have an ongoing contact and direct contact with the President of Russia, Vladimir Putin. I consider very highly our mutual appreciation and our friendship. This allows us to deal with complicated challenges. Challenges which are not simple in this region. This connection is important for the security of Israel, but the most important thing is that we have established even further our ties with our great friends, the United States of America. And I would like to say from this podium, because we had many arguments, we have achieved it not by bending our heads, not by giving up, making concessions that are dangerous. On the contrary, we did it because we stood firm for our interest, our security and our political interest. We stood firm, and despite disagreements that I had with the previous American president, we have agreed to have $38 billion of support. This was President Obama's doing, and I really appreciate it. The Trump administration is not only committed to the support of the security of Israel. President Trump brought our cooperation, our military, intelligence, economic, technological cooperation, and the political support in the UN. It brought it to new heights. The alliance is stronger than ever. We never had such a cooperation with the greatest superpower in the world. And there are two other reasons for which this was a wonderful decade. The first being, all of these achievements happened when we are in the midst of a storm. The Middle East is undergoing a huge storm around us, but with a very responsible navigation. We did not allow the storm to shake us. And I would like to thank all of those who work together with me in the government and in the parliament, in the Knesset, the IDF, all the security forces, Mossad and Shabak, the Committee of Atomic Energy. I'd like to thank them all for working and assisting in order to obtain this important outcome. We will continue to navigate our state with responsibility. Thank you for asking, says the Prime Minister.
עכשיו, חברי הכנסת, הפאוזה לא הייתה לצורך שאלת השאלות. בבקשה, אדוני ימשיך.
מדברים על 10 שנים, מה עם הדמוקרטיה?
השר אקוניס, אל תעזור בבקשה בניהול הישיבה.
אני מבטיח
I can assure members of the opposition that I'm going to touch upon each one of the topics and questions. They were asking questions and I'll give them some answers. Members of the Knesset, I am not taking my eyes from the final goals. And the final goals is to stop the aggression of Iran, which wants to annihilate Israel. As the Prime Minister of Israel, I stood alone, facing all leaders of superpowers against an agreement that would have allowed Iran to have a nuclear arsenal with several years' time. I said that Iran is going to use the money from this nuclear agreement in order to open new fronts in the Middle East. I would like to stress that I warned against these dangers even when I had to face the American government, because the safety and security of Israel is the first and foremost goal. I exposed the secret archives in Iran, the secret storage house. Our intelligence services exposed what Iran was doing in Europe and other places. Our determination to handle the aggression of Iran is backed up with deeds. We're working against the Iranian regime military-wise in Syria. We're working against them also in these very days. And President Trump is also working against this regime financially-wise around the world. And this is an opportunity to once again thank President Trump for his bold decision to withdraw from the dangerous nuclear agreement and to renew the sanctions on Iran. These were goals that I was working to obtain for many years. We're going to keep on working in order to push Iran back. However, I must say to you, members of the Knesset, from this problem, we're going to see something good coming out. Because of this mutual Iranian threat, and because there is a lot of appreciation towards us, many Arab countries are closer to us more than they were ever before. I'm not only referring to my important meetings with our peace partners, the President of Egypt, Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, and the King of Jordan, King Abdullah. The ties with other countries in our region are also expanding constantly and rapidly, I must say. I believe that very soon they will even expand further, not only with an arrangement, but also gradually. It's going to be out in the open. We are gradually ready to renew the peace negotiations with the Palestinian Authority. Peace is our utmost goal. As someone who partook in wars, as someone who lost a brother and many other friends of arms who fell in the battlefield, I know how much the war, I know how much a war is a bad and painful thing. And I'm doing my utmost in order to prevent unnecessary wars. But if we need to act against our enemies, they will fully feel our arms. And I would like to stress the obstacle to peace is not with us. It is with the Palestinians. When Abu Mazen views murderers of Jews, heroes, shaheeds,
אני מזכיר לך, חבר הכנסת אחמד טיבי, שההגדרה של הישיבה הזאת היא הגדרה מיוחדת, בה נואם אדם שאינו חבר כנסת. לכן עוד הערה אחת ולא צריך 3 קריאות ואתה בחוץ.
לא הייתי מציע לך לפתוח את זה,
בבקשה, אדוני ראש הממשלה, תמשיך. מי שקורא קריאות ביניים יוצא החוצה. עם הנחיה שלי או בלי הנחיה שלי.
כולל בשבוע שעבר, חבר הכנסת טיבי.
בבקשה.
באמת, בוא. הוא מדבר...
כשאבו מאזן...
כולל שרים, כן.
When Abu Mazen, first of all, I'm very happy that people are attentive. It's important, says the Prime Minister. When Abu Mazen views murderers of Jews, heroes, shaheeds, when he sticks to his refusal to recognize Israel as the national state of the Jewish people, unfortunately, we still don't see a basis for real peace for the generations to come. I haven't heard until today.
אני התכוונתי ברצינות. נא לצאת.
מה קרה לקריאות ראשונה, שנייה, שלישית?
לא, הישיבה היא ישיבה מיוחדת. הישיבה היא ישיבה מיוחדת. זה מה שמאפשר התקנון. תודה רבה.
אגב, עד עכשיו...
And by the way, until today, I haven't heard from Abu Mazen condemnation of the brutal and horrific murder in Barkan of Kim Yechezkel and Zib Khajbi, the wonderful of blessed memory.
חבר הכנסת אחמד טיבי, אתה מעכב את הישיבה. תודה.
Not only did I not hear any condemnation, but the complete opposite has happened, because the Palestinian Authority continues to finance abominable murderers. Abu Mazen, who wants a Palestinian state clean of Jews, is attacking our national law, our national state law. Abu Mazen is adopting laws according to which a person who sells land to the Jews will be executed, and a person who is murdering Jews will be given money. I would like to tell you the obstacle to peace is not with us, it is with them. We now have the proof that not everyone here recognizes the simple truths. But today, at the end of the decade, most citizens of Israel recognize the truth after it was blurred and was hidden for many years. To me, this is an important change of understanding, because true peace can only be built on foundations of truth. And here I'd like to thank President Trump once again for brave decisions, for bold decisions, for which I also worked for many years, recognizing Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, and the decision to move the embassy to Jerusalem. We turned the aspiration of all Israeli governments of 70 years to reality. In the last decade, in the midst of the storm, we have promoted the chief interest of the State of Israel. In the eye of the storm, we promoted safety and security, economy, our interest in foreign relations, and Jerusalem. But there is another reason which makes this decade a wonderful one. To a large extent, we have erased the division between the first Israel and the second Israel. We're working to erase the peripheral areas, whether it is geography or social periphery. Peripheries have become vibrant cities. Same goes for neighborhoods in the middle of Israel. The developing cities and these neighborhoods have amidst them people of academy, pilots, engineers, entrepreneurs, artists. We see happy people living there. We see smiling people there, optimistic. I can still recall where we had a narrow corridor of advancement and infrastructure between Hadera and Gedera. The Negev and Galilee were detached, were neglected, like other parts of the center. This has changed dramatically. We are developing infrastructure in the periphery, culture, education, science, cyber. As a result of all of this, we have new forces rising in Israel. People who are not let into many areas of action are now becoming leaders. And despite all of that, there is a minority which is grumpy, which is daringly voicing a statement or statements which is really, really filled with anger. They stole our country, they say. You stole our country. So I would like to say one thing in this regard, and please listen well.
חבר הכנסת זוהר, אתה רוצה שאני אתחיל עם איזונים? חברת הכנסת פדידה, טוב, עכשיו אמרתי את השם שלך, מספיק.
גנבו לנו את המדינה.
They stole our state, they stole our country. This is what they say. They say it in the lavish salons, in those high rises. Sometimes they would simply say it out there. So I'd like to say one thing and listen well. Our country is not stolen. It is cool. Get used to it, because this is the new Israel. It is the Israel where everyone has equal opportunities. 89%, almost 90% of the citizens here in Israel say that they're very happy with their lives here. Well, we're going to hear from the leader of opposition. It will be very interesting to find out if she belongs to 89% or rather to the 11% that remain. Well, don't hold your breath. If there is something the opposition knows how to do, it is not to give credit. From the criticism that I'm hearing from you, members of opposition, I understand to what extent you are detached from the people. Instead of recognizing our achievements, you always have various complaints. And I can tell you, with some empathy, I understand your distress, because what you have left, all of your complaints were proven wrong. Everything is gone. You said that there is political isolation, gone. You said that the economy is shrinking, gone. You said that inequality is on the rise, gone. You said that we neglect periphery, gone. You said that if we only leave Gaza, it will become a Singapore, gone. You said that Abu Mazen is the knight in shining armor of peace, gone. For years you have said that I was destroying the relationship with the United States. This is gone. For sure it's gone. It's not true. So, what do you have left then? Your claims that there is a harm to democracy. This is an absurd. Israel is a vibrant democracy. There's no danger to the individuals to the rights of the individual. In every democracy, there are arguments. In every democracy, there is an argument within the authorities and about the authorities, as we have just seen in this small democracy called United States. Only in dictatorship there is no arguments. So your complaints about harming democracy are empty of any content. What is really bothering you is not the loss of democracy, but rather the loss of the leftocracy, so to speak, losing your own rule. You are used to controlling the media. You go against everything that goes against the monopoly of your opinion. And of course, you continue complaining about the danger, as you call it, the danger that is lurking to the freedom of speech in Israeli media, as if we are North Korea. This is such a lame joke. It is to the contrary. And I'd like to tell you something. Several weeks ago, during a festive event, I was approached by one of the senior journalists in Israel. And he said to me in the presence of several people who are here, why don't you... Well, you can find out his name. He said, Mr. Prime Minister, I would like to say thank you. And I'm quoting, I am admiring the way by which you are running the country. I am admiring the ties that you have formed with world leaders in order to keep us safe.
אני חייב להגיד לכם, זה לא היה ריקלי. לא, ממש לא. לא תאמינו מי זה היה.
You're not going to believe who this person was, but I'd like to finish the story, please.
חברי הכנסת, מספיק.
פה באולם אני מזהה 3 אנשים שהיו שם. ישראל, תוריד את היד. חיסיון מקורות, עליו. ובכן, שאלתי אותו, את העיתונאי הבכיר.
So I asked him, the senior journalist, well, if you say that it is so great here, that's what he said. I asked him, so, and I'm quoting myself, why don't you ever say anything good about me from your own podium, from your own media podium? But he couldn't answer. I asked once again, so why don't you always go against me? He couldn't answer. He had no answer because he knows what every piece of media knows, that if he only dares to say a good word about me or my family, he would immediately be lashed at from this police of thoughts in the media. This is exactly what happened recently to a journalist who accompanied me in a visit abroad. She did something that will not be forgiven. She did something that must not be done. She described what she had seen. She reported the enthusiasm by which I was accepted. And my wife, she wrote, and I'm quoting, if I didn't see it with my own very eyes, I would not have believed it. And of course, this journalist immediately was criticized vehemently by her colleagues in the media for her description. But she immediately corrected it. So, Yoel Chasson, you always make sure that my heritage is kept. If they're going to summarize what I did and what you did, I'm sure I'm not going to lose here. And you won't be here. Member of Knesset Chasson, thank you.
אז אני מבקש מכם, אל תבלבלו לנו את המוח.
So don't confuse us about the danger of the freedom of speech in the media, because in Israel, those who limit the freedom of speech is the media itself. And don't tell us about phenomena that are reminding us of dark periods of time, while we are in one of the most glamorous times in our history. Instead of calling out our achievements, you refer to us as racist, as anti-democratic. I should have gone to the United Nations in order to defend Israel from these accusations that were born here, that came from here. Unlike those who are against the law does not harm individual rights of any citizen in Israel. It is anchored in a line of basic laws, the law of human dignity and freedom. We'll never see any discrimination against any person, not in the court of law, not here in the Knesset, not anywhere.
אני מבקש ממך לצאת.
אין ולא תהיה שום אפליה מבחינת החוק, מבחינת המחויבות שלנו.
There's no discrimination as far as the law, as far as our commitment, but Israel preserves the right to define itself as a Jewish state while encouraging immigration to Israel and settlement in Israel, the state of the Jews. I'm calling members of the opposition, the Zionist members of the opposition, to get to grips, to stop the attacks against the nation-state law. And I'd like to tell you, I think that you have a right to criticize.
חבר הכנסת מסעוד גנאים, נא לצאת. נא לצאת. הבנתי, החוק גזעני, נא לצאת. הבנתי. תודה רבה, נא לצאת.
אני רוצה להגיד לכם שיש לכם זכות מלאה לבקר.
I must say that you have a full right to criticize, to offer a change, additions.
ביקורת עניינית.
Criticism, as a matter of fact, is necessary in democracy, that is. But you go to the extreme. You say things that have nothing to do with reality, as if we are headed to an apartheid country. Since Israel is a real democracy, since there is complete freedom of expression, nothing will happen to you when you say these things, except for one thing. Our people that love our country, our people who knows the truth, they will never give you, those who go against the country, they will never give you the leadership. In this session, in this session of the Knesset, we will continue working for the benefit of the citizens of Israel, and I hope that we're going to pass the law of draft, recognizing the importance of studying Torah, recognizing the importance of the unity of the people of Israel. We are still facing many challenges as well as many opportunities, and we will continue raising the state of Israel to new heights. Members of the Knesset, just recently, as we do on the eve of the holiday of Sukkot, my wife and myself hosted at the Prime Minister's residence 3 soldiers who don't have families in Israel. Eden, who came from Florida, she is a fighter with the Home Front Command. Jeremy, who came from Washington, he is on one of the vehicles of the Marines. And Julia, who came from Canada, he's with the Givati division. Julian was the only Jew in his unit in the Canadian Army. And one day he said to himself, I should be in Israel. Julian came to Israel, and despite the fact that he is an only son, his parents allowed him to be drafted to a combat unit in the Israeli army. This was a magical evening. It was a true experience. We talked with these wonderful young people. We listened to them. They are filled with love to the country, love of Zionism. They have such a will to ensure the eternity of Israel. And I thought to myself, this is the real power. This is the real force that made us rise from the ashes, that brought us here together. This is what enabled us to overcome the horrible tragedies, from the destruction of the temple to the destruction during the Holocaust. This is the force that made us establish our country and rebuild it. This is the force that allows us to have the Golan Heights Synagogue rebuilt. And because of that, we have the Sukkah of King David rebuilt. Facing the Arab countries here in the Knesset, we say in a very lucid voice, the people of Israel